The Son of Hamas has lessons to teach us. Musab Youssef recently wrote a book about his experience growing up as the son of one of the founders of Hamas, Sheikh Hassan Youssef, and then his experiences spying for the Shin Bet, for Israel's internal security forces, for 10 years. And he talks about why he made this dramatic change, why he left the world of Hamas, the people that he loved, in order to go and to spy for Israel. And he talks in the book about how one time he was transferred to a Hamas prison, and he says he saw there that Hamas was torturing Hamas members. And he said, I became confused who was really my enemy. And because of that, he agreed to meet with the Shin Bet. And he said that his own people did not understand that the Shin Bet is committed to a constitution, but Hamas targets civilians. There's no difference between targeting a terrorist to them and a civilian. And that greatly vexed Musab Youssef. And he understood that his enemy, they had morality, they had their responsibilities more than my own people. And Youssef comes to teach us many important lessons in his book. And perhaps the most important one is that you should never be naive. One has to understand that when you're looking at people who are vicious and cruel, they are simply vicious and cruel. The Bible tells us, Zachar asher asa lecha Amalek. Remember that which Amalek did to us. This is not because we need to have good memories. This is not because we need to carry a grudge, but because the Bible wants to remind us that there are people like Amalek. Amalek attacked the Jews as they left Egypt, as they were a group of wandering slaves in the desert. Amalek came and viciously attacked a vulnerable group of people just because they could. And this is the ideology of Amalek, and this is the ideology of totalitarian states, and this is the ideology of Hamas. And you can't be naive about it. Indeed, Youssef tells in one of his interviews, he says, you Jews should be aware. You will never but never have peace with Hamas. Islam, as the ideology that guides them, will not allow them to achieve a peace agreement with the Jews. They believe that tradition says that the Prophet Muhammad fought against the Jews and that therefore they must continue to fight them to the death. This is the Hamas ideology. We must destroy the Jews. We must be violent. And Musab Youssef, the son of Hamas, is teaching us, don't be naive. Remember what Amalek said. But what's interesting is that Youssef, by personal example, teaches us another lesson. Here is a son of Hamas, and here is a man who has been able to make the conversion, to change from being violent and narrow-minded and become tolerant and democratic. And this is a remarkable transformation. And by his own personal example, he's teaching us a very powerful lesson. He's teaching us a lesson that actually the Talmud gives us. The Talmud tells us that the descendants of Haman, Mibnei Banav Shel Haman, the descendants of this great villain of the book of Esther, came to become Jews and came to study Torah in Bnei Brak. And the lesson of that passage in the Talmud is that you should never be narrow-minded. You should never assume that there's no hope. You should always believe that every person has the potential to change, to become better. And essentially, with his own life story, Musab Youssef is teaching us a second lesson. No, we should never be naive. We should never be foolish enough to believe that those who are committed absolutely to violence will ever change just by sitting down and having a cup of tea with them. But at the same time, Musab Youssef, with his own personal example, reminds us, don't be narrow-minded. Every person has potential. Even the sons of Haman have potential. Even the son of Hamas has potential. And we have to be careful not to be naive, but also never to be narrow-minded as well.